Hey,
Look
welcome
at that video.
as people start coming on in. Hey, everyone. It's Nick Paro and Jacob Summers coming at you for Do You Even Lift, Bro? No, we're just coming to have some fun. So
Yeah.
welcome everyone as you come in. Um, Jake, how's your week been? It's been about a week since we've talked.
Yeah, it's been a week. So I think last time we talked about the possibility of like how if I was gonna, take the gym and go virtual only. Well, the
Hmm.
big job that I was hoping for to be able to do that fell through, even though I was one of the final candidates for that. I don't even know why. I was told it was a competitive class, but as such, I'm retooling the gym right now and figuring out how to make it make sense for me. So I'm
Good.
a bar manager over at Jake's Joint half the week, and then personal trainer and gym owner the other half of the week. So and then my main coach who works for me was very happy to split it that way. So basically, I'm Monday through Wednesday over at the gym and Thursday through Saturday over at the bar. So I'm excited about it. I like bartending. So plus they put me in charge, so now I'm bar dad. So yeah.
Nice.
To be
Bar
gym
daddy.
dad and bar dad, yeah.
No, no, no. You got to be Gym Daddy or Bar Daddy. We're in the daddy
Only,
phase right now. So,
only, only if we use it in a funny way, because some people end up getting real like, "Hey, Jim Daddy," and I'm like, "Yeah,
yeah.
I
Yeah.
no, we joke about that because there was a gym that my wife and I went to for a couple months where we had a. I'm not going to give all the details, names and
Hmm.
faces disclosed
Oh,
or
absolutely.
redacted, but we had a gym member who we were pretty sure was mail order spouse. And used to come into the gym and look at the owner and go, "Hey, Jim Daddy." And so we all just used to tease him for it. I made the mistake of telling one of my telling a couple of my members about that, and they started calling me Jim Daddy for like 2 years after that. So we threatened to have T-shirts made up just to get them to stop doing it, but I don't think that really would have discouraged them. I think that would have only encouraged them. So yeah. But yeah,
Well, you just made the mistake
uh,
of telling me that you used to have the nickname Gym Daddy
yeah, Jim
because
Daddy.
now I'm sending a notification out, a notice on the live or on the feed saying we're live with Jim Daddy Jacob.
We're live with Jim Daddy. Oh, good Lord. Is that in the message? Is that in the
That's in the note now.
uh
It's gonna go on a Blue Sky too, just so you know.
hey, wow, that's I mean, that's a perfect home over at Blue Sky. That's the new Twitter as far as that kind of stuff is concerned. So
Yeah, and without the hate. Yeah, it's Twitter without the hate so far. It's still
yeah.
there, but not as much.
But all of the uncensored content as well. It used to be Tumblr, then it was Twitter, and now it's Blue Sky. So
As long as it's not 4chan or 8chan, I think we're okay.
well, you know me. I'm an open-minded dude, and I'm for all of that. I just love to joke with everybody. I'm like, yeah, they tried to nix that off of Tumblr, and it migrated to Twitter, and they tried to nix, and now we should be nixing Twitter or X or whatever. I refuse to call it X.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah,
give
I'll
us
go
our
ahead and name it.
yeah, give us our combo of Twitter or tweet like platform, but as well as we can share a whole bunch of media, and it's not censored. So be an adult and choose what you want to see, and don't bitch about the rest. So
Yeah. It's like Reddit. Like
yeah,
you Reddit, you subscribe to what you want. You get your feeds that you want. Blue Sky, you get the feeds that you want. Substack, same way. And if you don't want
uh,
it, sometimes.
well. Well, as somebody who has been a model of various different types, including for romance covers, I am all for free expression, and you can choose what you do or not want to see because there's already like restrictions on types of accounts and age and stuff like that. So hey, at that point, that's your user be shopper beware. So
Yeah. And I mean, some of the friends that I've made on the platform are in working industries that I'm not a part of or
okay,
wouldn't be a part of. And um, this cool because she does her thing and she kills it. She rocks it. And she's an
uh,
incredible writer on top of it. Like this
about
woman's got everything going for her. And she's doing well. We were supposed to interview. Her name's Fusen.
yeah.
You'll get to meet her. Hey, Robes, how's it going?
What up, bro?
Um, Well, you'll get to meet her at some time.
Okay.
She was supposed to be our guest yesterday. She had a reschedule for she had an interview, which is awesome. Um,
Well,
so,
as somebody who has been on romance covers and is currently writing his own book, and like I told you last time, kind of
ooh,
fell hip deep into the romance reading community. No, I'd say about a third of my friends on any given platform, but definitely Blue Sky and Threads fall into that specific like sex worker or adjacent community. So
yeah,
it just does not even phase me. If we counted up the number of friends that I have that either write smut or have their own fans accounts, then yeah, I think a Southern Baptist convention might actually like have a collective heart attack. So
yeah, they might like light on fire when they come nearby you.
I had
Um,
a I had a pastor come into the bar last night that was like, I asked my congregation if I could come here. And I was like, the juke joint? And he's like, yeah, well, because, last time I went to a juke joint, it was nothing but whiskey. And I was like, I mean, good on you for practicing your faith and believing what you believe in. But, and sticking to it. But in my head, I'm just sitting there going, it's a family restaurant that just has two bars. We haven't even gotten to the bar mode of it yet. But hey, good on you for sticking to your convictions, but seems a little bit
yeah, brother.
overkill.
Yeah, seems a little too much. Um, but I want to get to this novel thing because we're writers now. I'm a poet. You're writing a novel. I want to
Yeah,
hear more
no,
about this
I
because
also,
Lawrence is writing a novel too,
okay.
and now we have to get the two of you together even more, which we were already going to do, but we have to get the two of you together even more.
Does this mean that
Uh,
I'm officially a wizard yet?
ooh, you have to pass the test.
Okay.
You have to join the council for a show. Are you free
Well,
tomorrow?
what time?
Mm, 2:30 your time. Yeah, Eastern time.
I should be free. I'll check my calendar and let you know, but I don't think I have anything at that time. Is there a live going on, or is it like a group
Hmm.
conversation? Okay,
No, we're
gotcha.
going live group. The three of us so far we'll move it maybe over to Restream and do a four of us together.
Okay,
Um, and figure it out.
I
Um,
should. Yeah, I should be able to do that. So,
but
um,
nothing wrong with, I mean, you got the beard going on. It's not long yet, but it's bushy.
well, and I've got my Rainbow Resist shirt on that I got compliments on at Publix, which I was like, wow, I'm okay, weird. So every time I do that, you either get people go nice, or people just do the subtle like, yeah.
Yeah.
Was in a Planet Fitness one time, and this one guy and like fake redneck, because real rednecks fight the fucking power. But fake redneck, and by that I mean the Jason Aldean looking type with the Carhartt shit on, and I'm not making fun of
Oh,
country. I'm talking.
we have a new term for those guys.
What's that?
Performative patriotism.
Oh,
It's called eagle jizz.
oh yeah, no, this was definitely Eagle Jizz because you know me,
Okay,
I'm
good.
from Alabama. I am all for country. I work at a fucking juke joint.
Yeah.
But no, this was definitely Eagle Jizz with all his Carhartt shit on, and he saw me in my Resist shirt, and he like bowed up and tried to do the whole Henry Cavill pop both cannons type of thing. So I just looked him dead in the eyes and dropped my keys to the ground and squared up, and he walked away. But then
I
like,
mean, you're a scary dude. If you when you bow up, it's like so I have this dog. He is a uh he is a golden retriever and treeing walker coonhound mix. Two purebreds. He's an accident. So he's this
oh yeah,
beautiful, beautiful, like little golden lion. He looks sort of like Pooh Bear walking on his feet, or like no, sorry, more like Shaggy, or sorry, Scrappy Doo, but
okay,
bigger. Like somewhat between Scrappy and um Scooby size. So medium sized dog. I'll show him to you sometime. He's not in the office right now, or I'd show
yeah,
him to you. Um, you remind me of him because he's all sweet and gentle, and he'll sit there and he'll paw at you, and he'll be like, "Love me."
yeah.
Wait, you haven't loved me enough. Love me more.
Love me more.
Wait, you still haven't loved me enough. Love me more.
Yeah,
And
no, that's
then you fucking buck up, and that hound comes out in him, and he's like, "Yo, get the
I
fuck out of here."
I tell people all the time, I'll give you 400 chances. You take a 400 and first, I will be petty and mean and sleep better at night for it. Not just sleep well, sleep better at night for it. No, about 30 minutes later, another guy in like black cowboy hat, Dale Earnhardt tank top on, sees my shirt and looks at me, points at it, and goes, "Nice, brother." I was like, "Okay, you're an actual redneck."
Yeah.
Um, um, the writing though, I am writing a romantasy, which for anybody who's not aware is just a romance fantasy. A little portmanteau there, but portmanteau. And so it's a book that after I started reading all these romance books, I was like, I want to write one because I can write the actual fantasy part, but I we can all be adults and I don't have to skip the intimacy scenes. I don't have to be, I can tell like write those as much or as little as I want to, but like it doesn't have to be Game of Thrones where it's about like fetishizing it. Um, but even though, I like the Game of Thrones series, the TV series never made it through all the books.
I read
But I
all the
was
books, but they just sort of stopped.
yeah, and that's what I was like, so I can write this, but I don't have to like step around things. Because all these books count anywhere from new adults or up, because new adults, that category they came up with where it's like young adult, we can't have any R-rated scenes in there. New adult means you're probably in your early 20s or older. We can include those. And so my wife and I started reading those, and I was like, well, I love writing. She's like, well, you're a writer, and I was like, am I though? And she was like, yeah. She was like, have you just forgotten? And I was like, well, I've been so focused on the gym and everything else for so long that like surviving that. And she like pointed it back out to me. She's like, "You've literally got stuff published in magazines, and like you've written entire stories before, and you write all the time for your gym too. Like, not all that is like narrative fiction writing." She's like, You always get locked in and seem happiest when you're writing, and you've got a portfolio to show for it." So I was like, "Okay, well, I'll get back to it." I haven't released any of my chapters in about a month and a half. I'm pretty sure my
Hmm.
Patreon people are not happy about that. Um, but no, I'm considering swapping that over here to Substack as well because I'm considering what I'm going to do is because I saw where you have your poetry stuff. I was like,
Hmm.
well, I can have all the stuff that's like the free thing where I go live on podcasts and it's just kind of daily life stuff with like the almost 40 thing I was telling you about.
Yeah.
But then have some of my other stuff like my art, whether it's writing or drawn, be something that if somebody wants to be a paid subscriber, they can see it. Because the whole point with putting it on Patreon in the first place was to also kind of begin to raise some funds for eventually publishing this. So,
Yeah.
but I also love to write poetry too. I just haven't posted some of that in a while. So, but that's how
I
I got my
highly
start.
encourage it. I
Yeah.
encourage poetry. I'll have to introduce you to my friend Miranda. I'll drop her link. Oh, actually, I still got to drop your link in here for everybody. If you haven't subscribed to Jacob yet, please subscribe. He's an awesome friend of mine and interviewing to be a new wizard on the council. Um, and
But instead
if
of
you
you're
don't
a
know,
wizard Darius, you're a hairy wizard. But
you're
anyway,
a hairy wizard. You're an hairy wizard. I'm really bad at the British accent. Like that's something I can't do. I can make fun of Trump all day, but I can't do a British accent.
all of my accents I can do as long as I only have to speak for like 30 seconds or less at a time because I always start to do the Pepperidge Farm accent from Family Guy. But
Pepperidge Farm remembers. I can do a Sean Connery accent. Like that's something
all
I
of
learned how to like perfect growing up because he was on everything and all
yeah,
the great movies. So I was like, Sean Connery.
all of my accents, like I said, if I go longer than 30 seconds, they all devolve into Sean Connery. Like they'll start off as Pepperidge Farm or British or Irish or Scottish or whatever. They all devolve into Sean Connery after 30 seconds. So, yeah.
But anyway, we got off topic because I was going to say I need to introduce you to my friend, the poet Miranda. You'll have to look her up on here.
Okay.
Um,
I think I've seen something from her before. But go
yeah,
ahead.
she and I have done a Meet the Poet hour where we both read through our poetry. We talked about like different artistic muses and things like that. I'm going to drop Miranda's link in here too in the chat. I know it's hard. You can't really click things from the chat. You all have to, if you want to grab them, you got to copy pasta them. It's kind of annoying on Substack or yeah, on Substack's part. Hopefully they change that eventually and make them hyperlinkable. That
Yeah.
would be cool. But for now, Miranda's awesome. She does, her poetry narrates her transition. Um, and she does an incredible like job bringing you in and making you feel a part of the story.
Yeah,
And it's so fun to read. We got to have a talk. So I got to introduce you to her too, if you're interested in getting back into any
yeah.
poetry, because I love seeing it on here, and not enough people are doing it. Um,
Well, and a lot of mine, whereas my writing, like my long form writing type of stuff, like with the book that I'm working on, ends up I always have to pull myself back from being too heady with things. Like
yeah,
I can really dive deep into the lore or trying to include meanings, and so I'm trying to roll that back a little bit to continue writing the book that I'm writing. But my poetry is always everybody knows me as the super happy, whatever, like positive. Like they're like, no, bad shit's happened to you and you've bounced back from it, but like you're positive. My
yeah.
poetry is quite the opposite. My poetry is like if Lincoln Park was having a depressed day, an old Lincoln Park, not the Lincoln Park that
Like,
never got back together, unfortunately.
yeah, like cutting
Um,
yourself, Lincoln Park and
yeah,
numb and
yeah, numb, and in the end, the one exception to that is the poem that I wrote for myself that I say every single day at the beginning of the day. But that's because that's supposed to like charge me up for the day. So and it's a lot like a Green Lantern oath. So yeah. Mhm.
hey, if there's something that gets you up and helps you get through the day, like my therapist always said, is like if it's worth doing and it helps you, do it.
Yep. No,
So
I agree.
that's awesome. Like that's why I write poetry is I was like, I lost my job a month and a half ago. And the tech field has, once I left, the tech field overall, I was able to see from the outside, is really toxic.
Oh,
It's just a very toxic field. And one of the things that they demand of you, and it's something my wife was telling me um, and expressing to me was like, they demand of you, whoever you are, whichever spouse is in the tech field, is you're there 100% of the time, pretty much all the time.
yeah.
And if you're not, then you're out. You're not a high performer. You're not one of the 10Xers or whatever they want to call you to make you feel good about working so hard that you lose everything in your family. And if you have a family, your spouse better be fully supporting you as the homemaker.
That's
And
that's
it's
something that
pretty
I'm
gross.
that's something that one of my buddies, who just visited from Michigan, he always every once a year he comes down for like a week, and he uh, he works for IT, and while he was down here, he'd get a ton of like emails or phone calls or texts like, "Hey, can you fix this?" And it's like I set my notifications to I'm on vacation, I'm away. And he to his credit, he ignored most of them. He was like, "Look, I put it in leave. I'm not there. Find a way to fix it or wait till I get back." But no, they would still try to reach him even though he was on vacation. He's expected to just be on 24/7 with all this, or like you said, he's not committed. So, which
Yeah.
is just it's part of my rant that I had on Threads the other day about the downfall of the decline of America started with the Industrial Revolution. That mindset that we live to work, not that we work to live. So,
Yeah, no, I see that because everything about our society is based around the metric of what do you most produce? Like
yeah,
your value as a man in a lot of ways. And that's what a lot of us are taught as men. And this is one of the things that we're working on deconstructing in our new manosphere that we're building is the patriarchy sucks. It fucking sucks for everybody because it makes men have to feel like they're a burden if they're not producing in some way. Like
yeah,
I feel burdensome if I'm not working.
yeah, exactly. It's
That's the
it's that
expectation for men.
it's not your value is entirely tied to what you provide. And that started. I mean, we could argue all kinds of sociological or whatnot factors into that, but a huge component of that had to do with the industrialization of the workforce because it became if you're not working over 40 hours a week and you're producing X amount of units, and then you get home, and if you haven't brought in enough income, then it affects that. And that's not meant to sound like I'm putting it back on any member of the family. Obviously, everybody worries about income and the ability to provide, but it definitely became the onus of your value is tied to what you can provide, not who you are or
Yep.
what you want to do. And we all have to work, but there's definitely an emphasis on okay, you're not. you're a service. You provide something. So
And people became cogs in an interchangeable machine. Like our value, we are supposed to base our value on how productive we are and how much we can contribute back to a company. But a company doesn't have to care about us because, like Millicent
yeah,
said in our chat, is a poor workman blames his tools rather
yeah,
than themselves. Because a
right,
poor workman isn't going to look at themselves and go, oh, I messed up and overused or underused this, they're going to go, oh, this tool is broken, throw it out. And they
yeah,
replace it with a new one. And that's what we became. And that's the mentality. You look at education for kids, like it's a go to school for this long, sit at a desk so that you get used to sitting at a desk or in a factory or something as an adult for this amount of time. And then you get homework so that you're used to bringing work home
yep,
and continuing to work and not having fun or a social life, which is why I'm a huge proponent for banning homework for children until they're in like high school at the very least. Like kids who are elementary and middle school age or junior high age should not be doing homework after
right.
school because they should be living as kids. Like people always complain, oh, your kids don't go outside, they're on video games all the time. Well, yeah, that's because they can't, like they're doing homework all the time or they're at a job,
Well,
and
I'll
then
take
when it's time to be done it's dark out, so they're going to play video games.
Well, and I'll take that one step further to even go with the standardized testing, and because it's essentially two things. It's one, getting kids used to if you send kids to this 40-hour a week job, which is school, and then you
Hmm.
send them home with works that are used to taking work home. And then we have the standardized tests are getting them used to performance reports, and it's getting you used to being graded on a system where it is about fitting the metric, like when you go through drive-throughs and they pull you up because it's affecting the drive-through time as opposed to just handing you your order. It's the same with performance reports. It's the okay, we're going to fit this arbitrary metric, and if you don't, then you're doing something wrong. But it's a step more sinister than that too, and that a lot of these tests are okay. Well, you got to do this from memory. In what fucking field do you do anything from memory? Like,
Yeah.
I've I'm not saying that you have to make a different test for every student's learning style, but standardized tests have been proven to be fallacious on just on the nose constantly, including, why not open book tests? In most places that you're going to work, you're going to have a manual to consult, or a coworker, or a boss that you would consult.
Or
It's
the internet.
or the internet. Like when I've told clients before, I'm like, yeah, I don't know that right off the bat. Let me go consult my resources. And most clients understood that, but you get the occasional client that'd be like, you don't have this memorized? And I'll be like, doctors don't have everything memorized. And they're like, well, that's concerning. I was like, no, it's really not. What we've been taught is to absorb as much of it as possible, but we can't hold, especially for doctors, entire tomes of medicine in their head. It's
Yeah.
about knowing how to begin the treatment and then how to go consult the resources. It's about teaching people where to find the information and to
Yep.
retain as much as that they need while on hand. And standardized tests complete with the specialty that aren't open books completely undermine all of that. So
Oh,
instead of
absolutely.
focusing on critical thinking and in the moment action, we're focusing on rote memorization that proves to be of less good. So
Yeah, and well, as a kid who got diagnosed as an adult with ADHD, um you see that like standardized testing sucks for kids with ADHD because it's that meme where you've got the elephant, the bird, the giraffe, and a fish and a monkey, and you're trying to teach them, and you say everyone has to learn how to climb. That is
yeah,
standardized testing. That is saying
yep,
everybody has to learn how to climb, and if you can't learn how to climb, you're dumb.
yep,
So the fish is always going to be dumb because the fish will never be able to climb,
yep,
but a monkey can. An elephant might be able to. It might just knock over the tree and climb up it.
yeah,
The giraffe can definitely reach to the top. Everything else can't, but the fish, you're always going to be dumb because you're a fish. Well,
that's
standardized tests don't work. That's why Montessori schools tend to work pretty well in a lot of ways for these kids. I think like it almost does come down to you need a standardized test per kid. And
right.
I mean, that's an infeasible task, and everybody knows that. And that's why there's standardized tests, but they should be standardizations and not a single standardized test.
I was about to say you can come up with you don't have to come up with one for everybody, but you
Hmm.
definitely need to come up with something, either a test that's a blend of different ways to show your knowledge, or you can have 4 or 5 different types of standardized tests. Go ahead and basically pre-screen each of the students to what their learning styles are, and then the kind of like the Myers-Briggs test with I'm an ENFJ, I'm an INFP. Basically, you can sit there and pre-sort them into, okay, which one of these 4 or 5 categories do we think that they would fit into? Okay, they're going to go to test number 4. They're going to go to test number 2. Because no, that's as much as I know that homeschooling has been taken over by a certain subsection of the community.
Yeah.
That is one of the reasons that I'm glad that for the last couple of years of um, high school, I was homeschooled because we had the ability to, I could choose my curriculum and I could go as fast or as slow in it as I wanted to. Shocker, I went fast. And
Mm,
then finished all the courses I needed, and then started going and taking the fun courses, and then clept out of U.S. History 1 and 2 because I think that if we were, and our country's based on a history of homeschool education anyway. It's just it's completely infeasible now because most of the time both parents are having to work in order to survive in this economy. So who has the time to
yeah.
homeschool? So
Yeah. And well, in the chat where Millicent is talking about it is that's why they have exceptions, more time, IEPs 504. And I totally agree. Those are useful tools, but they're not solutions. They're not good solutions because the standardized test themselves doesn't offer options for real learning type differences. Like we're
right,
talking about like kinesthetic learners versus auditory learners. There is a real fundamental difference. And let's say you're autistic or even have ADHD, that, but we're talking a range of the actual test itself, not the mechanisms that allow you to access the test or perform in the test. Like IEPs and 504s, my kids are on them. My mom was a child developmental school psychologist. I know a lot about these. My kids are on them, and I've had to research them, and I have to make sure that I've like got my kids on the right ones. Is they're tools, but they don't address the actual underlying problem for tests. Like
right.
my one of my kids doesn't get extra time on one of the standardized tests, even though they are on an IEP that requires them to have extra time, and they're not allowed to be given a reading aid because that is the test's standard, not the school and not the state. That is the test standard. So she doesn't get that time. So we need alternative methods where the tests are performed in different manners so that all kids can have access and succeed. Because we can't teach a fish to climb a tree, but we can teach a fish to swim, or we can teach a fish to navigate the water and find a way to teach all of the creatures to have an equal access to the path of knowledge. Like the
I,
monkey's going to learn to climb, the elephant and the giraffe may be able to come together and learn in the same way, but
I
the fish won't.
I completely agree because, I mean, I kind of tell people all the time, like, there's some people who might not do well at a written test, but they do well at a practical execution of it, like a demonstration. Like, okay, show me what you've learned. And some of that's more difficult with stuff like history, but less difficult with, hey, some math problems or art or something like that. I find it ironic, once again, and I tell people this all the time. I find it ironic that the U.S. military is more accommodating to different educational needs and physical needs than our schools are. And I'm not saying it's perfect. I'm not saying that our military's like got it all figured out, but the fucking Marine fitness test is more accommodating for different abilities the than our standardized education, because just the Marine fitness test is like, okay, you're going to do pull-ups or push-ups. You're going to do a plank or crunches. Like, and obviously they have what they want you to do, but at the same time, like I encountered way more flexibility for both learning styles and for physical abilities in my time in the army than I have witnessed in both my time when I was in education and from having talked to these parents of kids still going to school. So it's wild that that our standardized federal education system is
Hmm.
less flexible, less accommodating than our armed services. So
Yeah, and that's crazy is because it's interesting that you say that because the armed services education system doesn't get the same love and like appreciation that other education systems in our country get. And the armed services education system is one of the most important in our country. It's also one of the most like well established, and it's very, very Tippett has been for a very long time one of the highest uh, um, standards of education in our country. But it's not anymore right now,
right.
anyways. It's been gutted over the last 6, 8 months now. Um, because of everything going on and all the union attacks and the changes to what is acceptable because Hegseth is the DOD SecDef and he's a Christian nationalist and they don't believe women should be doing anything other than bearing children and being the Sarah or Jezebel in your life. And I literally, so I do a talk with a friend named Lisa Joy. She has deconstructed out of a fundamentalist white nationalist church. Thanks, Millicent. We'll see you again. Glad you made it with us. Um, and Lisa and I talked back and talked about dominionism. And on Tuesday, I read one of the sermons, or most of one of the sermons from Pete Hegseth's church in Moscow, Idaho. Um,
Yeah.
it was a it was a marriage sermon that was really just a subjugation lesson.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's so disgusting. Like I like listen to it, I read through it. I was like, this is what they want for our kids to learn. This is what they want. And that's impacting the DoD. I say those things because it impacts the DoD and that education system because they got rid of all the books and they banned a whole bunch of things that are important and are huge factor in those kids' lives because there's a couple million kids in that federal education program that just had changes just go abruptly and lost a lot of funding, um,
Yeah.
which really
No.
sucks. All of this on standardized testing too, like thinking going back to our standardized testing of this, like it's all of this in the end too, there's a lot of it that comes down to standardized testing and where they're pushing things and how they want our kids to view themselves or view society and view their roles in society is standardized testing. I think is one, they're getting rid of the Department of Education, so standardized testing may go away and they may accidentally do something good um, by getting rid of it, and I'm not going to give them props for that because they're a fascist regime that's murdering people and putting them in concentration camps and assisting in the genocide in Palestine by providing arms to Israel to bomb innocent people at this point. I'm not for Hamas and I am Jewish and I think what's going on in Palestine is a genocide. Plus, we're also letting the Ukrainians die when they're the fucking defenders of freedom and kicking Russia's ass. And what's better than kicking Russia's ass?
Okay. So, man, you gave me like 14 talking points. I'll stick to two.
Fuck yeah.
So
Take
first
all
off,
14.
yeah. So first off, you're right about that. So that's the number. So the part where you were like, okay, so I'll give them credit for the trying to get rid of standardized testing, but I'm not about to lock praise on this regime because of everything else. So first off, that's just like I was talking about with the lowering marijuana to just the grade that he's talking about lowering it to. I was like, okay, first off, that doesn't 100% decriminalize it. Second off, it's going to make it so that only places like pharmacies like CVS and Walgreens and shit like that can sell this shit, as opposed to all of the local distributors here in Alabama that recently got put out of
Yep.
business when we delegalized our what wasn't even full marijuana. But I'm sitting here going, okay, even if
But
he
you
does that,
guys, delegalize. You guys made it illegal again.
I'll go into that in a second, but yes.
What the
So
fuck?
yeah, so I'm like, don't let so much praise on this administration. They're still doing terrible shit.
Yeah,
But what we had is we never got full on marijuana. We got like the CBD plus and the THC zero and the hybrids and everything else like that. That were like never. It still couldn't have a certain amount of above a certain amount of THC in it. But Governor Imon, as we call her, basically Kay Ivey, um, basically made it so that they were able to work within the federal rules on that to circumvent it and make it so that we can't sell that anymore. And so now they're trying to roll it back and say, oh, well, we were just talking about disposable vapes. We weren't talking about like the other stuff. And I'm like, clearly you were because you had police cars outside, not police cars, but like drug enforcement agency. You had like these vehicles outside all of these vape shops ready to snatch up people's shit on the last day that it was able to be sold. So first off, you were seizing it illegally,
yeah.
because
You
it's
were going in early,
yeah, you were going in early, and they've got a whole bunch of lawsuits against them now. But now they're pushing back.
of
Um,
course.
and then
Alabama is the state that we found what all those people just randomly buried behind a prison or something during
was
the
that Alabama?
election.
Was that
Was that
Alabama?
Alabama?
I
It
don't
was
think
one
that
of the
was Alabama.
southern
To be honest.
states, and it sounds. Oh, I think it was Mississippi.
Um,
Sorry, everyone, for moving my camera around. It's at a weird spot, and I'm trying not to mess my computer up while I do
setting
it.
up a hey all because I got a couple people like, hey, and I'm like, I don't want to ignore anybody. Um, and then yes, your Jewish point. Because I was commenting on something. I try to stay off Facebook as much as possible these days. I even made a post the other day that was like, I'm only on here for business and keep Messenger open. And most people
Yep.
understood that. Some people got the shorts in a twist. So like, what do you mean? I was like, first off, it's not the only way to stay in touch with me. But
Yes. There's
I
better
logged
ways.
I logged on or I opened the app last night, logging up to check a notification, and I saw a post where basically um there's a billboard. There's billboards up in Alabama. Like, you don't have to be a Jew to care about a Jew. And then the website was something really dumb, like Jew Matter, um, .com or something like that. And the whole caption was billboard that prominently uses the word Jew over and over again stirs conversation. Well, one of my friends that I've known since high school was in the comments basically like, easy, just don't support genocide. And everybody's like, well, you're anti Semitic. And I was like, no, 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 no. Let's not get this twisted. Being against what Israel's doing right now and being anti Semitic are two entirely different things.
Yeah.
If
Also,
somebody goes on to try to claim that everything wrong in America and business and the Illuminati is Jewish, they're going to catch these hands. Like
yeah.
that, because that can happen with anybody. There's Jews doing it, there's Christians doing it. It's not exclusive. But if we can isolate it to just the genocidal part, it doesn't matter. I'm not saying it doesn't matter what Hamas is doing, but what I'm saying is the scale of retaliatory action and the lack of care for collateral damage and the fact that it's been going on so
Yes.
long that it's not an accident. No, no,
Yes.
I can support all of my Jewish homies and just being Jewish, period, and still fucking hate Israel and not condone their actions right now. And
Yeah.
so,
Yeah. I don't want Israel gone. I just don't like what they're doing. It's just like our government. I don't want the US gone. Like, I don't understand why people don't get that. It's like, well, I do. They're so nationalized, like they don't see any difference between themselves and the government or themselves. Like they see if you attack, and it's always the most racist and the most virulently anti-Semitic people who claim to be pro-Semitic, like they
oh yeah,
pro-Jewish. Yet,
because they view it as a
I
you attack Trump, you attack America, you attack
yep,
Israel, you attack the Jews. It's this,
yep,
and which is basically just like you said, it's that national identity thing, that uber nationalism of you attack anything that I belong to, you attack me. And I'm like, homie, props for loyalty, but no props for individual thought and the ability to call out. Because I say all the time, my country is like my last name or my home or anything else like that. I can love it and I can still admit all the shit it does wrong. And
yep.
it's like trying to liken all of Christianity to Westboro Baptist Church. Not the same fucking thing. So,
Yeah,
anyways,
yeah,
I
like
interrupted you.
no, you're fine because that's the whole fucking point is like I can separate myself from my country and the good and the bad that it's done. But it's all ego jizz is what it is. We're gonna call it like it is. Like Fred
There you
Pope
go,
said
Joe.
yesterday, it is ego jizz. It's them doing performative patriotism and blaming us who are patriots because I got called yesterday anti-patriot. I was told I was not a patriot, that I was a Russian left propagandist, that it's still going on. This person is still commenting back. I put my video out yesterday from the conversation
I
with
saw that. I saw that
the vet
post.
talk
Yeah. Yeah.
with Melissa Corrigan, and you'll like her. She's super awesome. You'll get to meet her soon too. Melissa, we put that chat up, and somebody commented, and it was like these three dudes, and I was like, first off, you clearly didn't look at this because Melissa's a female and the title clearly says a woman's name. Like, one, you're an asshole too for that. Two, when you tell me that white nationalism isn't real and that it's Russian propaganda for the left and that makes me a communist, fascist, which, by the way, communism and fascism are basically the opposite ends of the spectrum on the scale. And one of them is an economic system, the other is a political system. So they're not even the same fucking category. So
Yep.
come again.
Yeah.
And they were like, I'm a Ron Paul libertarian, which I know what that means because my buddy and friend of the show, Chris Goldsmith, used
Yeah.
to be a Ron Paul libertarian. That's where he started in after the military, and he knows Stephen Rhodes or Stuart Rhodes, the asshole who runs Oath Keepers, who shot himself in the eye, which is why he has an eye patch. So don't buy any bullshit that he got shot at war. He shot himself in a
Yeah.
training accident in the eye because he's stupid. Um, and the Oath Keepers follow him. But she was like, yeah, I wanted to be a proud girl, and I know you saw my post yesterday on it. And I was like, I figured it out because the sermons that I read and what I hear from Christians, and we are talking about it yesterday, and it all comes back to performative patriotism and eagle jizz, is they're bad at sex and they're just mad about it.
Well, that's what was it? God, not was it Rubio? Who was it? The one that always used to post about women don't actually enjoy sex. God, the
Oh,
Paul.
Josh Hawley?
No, it was somebody else. It was somebody higher up. I'm trying to remember.
Because Hawley does that shit sometimes too. And
Wow, it was just on the tip of my tongue too. But yeah, no, he would post about stuff like that, and people were like, just tell me you've never pleased a woman without telling me you've never pleased a woman. And
Mhm.
you get all these people that are like, well, liberal men don't really get any. And I'm like, okay, first off, that's not the metric of success in life. Second off, it just means that we know how to ask for consent. Third off,
Yeah.
I can tell you from having lifted alongside powerlifters, bodybuilders, and strongmen and Spartans and everything else like that, that I'm not saying that there isn't a noticeable chunk of conservative activity in there, but by and large, all the liberal men I know are tatted, muscular, and know how to kick your ass and get some on a regular basis because they're not assholes. So, like, you get the conservative
Yeah.
side of things that are like, well, the liberal men are just soft, whatever. They don't get. And I'm like, that's projection on your part because
Hmm.
I happen to know contrary from real life exposure to things. But yeah, I forget what got us on this tangent. So,
Um, Genocide actually got us on this tangent. And it comes
genocide to flaccid willies. There we
genocide.
go.
Oh, it's eagle jizz, is what it is what got us
Yeah,
on this tangent, is the performative patriotism and just the performative nature of all of it. It's
yeah.
so obnoxious and over the top that it's gross. Like the phrase eagle jizz is kind of gross, but it's supposed to be because these dudes are gross. These people, and I'll say dudes because a lot of them are men, is these dudes are gross. These people are gross and they just throw patriotism. Oh, it was that we were talking about the woman who commented on my
Oh yeah,
or female named profile. I don't know if it's actually a woman or
yeah.
not. They and we got to the Ron Paul libertarian part where Stuart Rhodes and she wants to be a proud girl. And I was like, well, I now know why they hate everybody is because they're bad at sex. It's like a cactus fucking a sand dune because one wants them dry, the other is going to be that way because they suck at it. And it's like,
And not in
what
a
is
fun
it?
way.
What is it the Mormons do? Soaking. It's like soaking. It's like the version of soaking for sex. So make that, make that your day. And have that image in your day because you've got to. I figured it out. That's why they're all
Yeah,
so mad all the time because they won't admit whether they're happy in their sexuality, in their marriage. They won't admit something about their life that they're trying to suppress so much that they throw it out as bigoted garbage.
right.
Um, and so Proud Girl would sort
Yes,
of
I
be
read
like
that.
this, like, yeah, like the sex slave for like Jabba the Hutt. Like,
Yeah.
I imagine like Steve Bannon owns a few Proud Girls and he sits around in his fat fucking blob of a body, or he's like Pizza the Hut from Spaceballs and he's eating himself to death and he's just a fat piece of shit. But he has slaves who are his Proud Girls who think they're all hot shit. They're like Ice Queen Barbie,
That's
dog
what I'm
killer.
sitting here
Like,
going is I don't want to know what a proud girl would even look like because consider me a body positive individual, but I imagine one of two extremes.
mhm.
Either the proud girl looks like the guys that are after, or meaning that they've brought nothing to the table and whatever. Or they're the ones that are like the, MAGA Barbie, which is essentially like, yeah, they may look like a supermodel, but they've got eating disorders and body issues and a whole bunch of stuff that is contributing to that being an untenable or unsustainable lifestyle. So either way, I would not touch a proud girl with a
It's
20
like,
foot pole. Mm.
yeah, Joe, I imagine a Proud Girl being sort of like, just yeah, sort of that no trad wives. It's like trad wives gone wild, like super hardcore trad wife, like
Oh yeah.
dead eyes. Look, what's her name? She's
Caroline
a
Levitt,
senator. No, not Caroline Levitt. She's a senator from I think Alabama. I think she might be yours, one of yours.
Katie Britt.
Yeah, she has the cult dead eyes where she did that during the election, where she did the rebuttal to Joe Biden's State of the Union, and she was in her house or like in a made up kitchen, and her eyes were just dead, and she was
Yeah.
staring off, and it's that cult dead eye. That's what I imagine. Um, oh, now we have you're cracking me up with it. Cosplay. Oh no. No, 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 no. We're talking like Colt Deadeye, but think of like Jabba the Hutt with Colt Deadeyes as
Yeah,
his slaves instead of
let's not sour cosplay with proud girls. Yeah. Anyway,
yeah, you
continue.
can't sour cosplay with Proud Girls because there's nothing good about them. Like there's nothing good about that culture. It's like ugh. Anyway, but she's super proud and this account is continuing to comment on my thread. And so Melissa commented and she put down, she was so politely rude. Like it was just
I want to
beautiful.
call I want to call her shit and pull her into a live now and being like, nut up or shut up. Like just
Yeah,
just
say it
come
live.
to be like the I'm trying to be as sensitive when I say this as possible because I don't remember his name. But the autistic kid on TikTok that takes down everybody, he just sits there and goes, "No, no, that's wrong." And he'll listen to them and then dissect their arguments piece by piece. I just want to sit and like let this woman come on live and me just like say what you got to say and then just dissect the shit out of it. So,
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
those types never hop on live. They'll send you your address and be like fight me, but they'll never actually like go toe
no.
to toe.
No, and if they jump into the live chat, they'll be too afraid to come on the live. They'll have some excuse why they can't come on camera with you, why they
Yeah.
can't show you who they are. And it's always you're nut up or shut up. Like you either woman up or sack out. Like because the sack's kind of weak. Like that's why I like calling Trump a testicle.
Yeah.
Anyway. But going back
Yeah.
to what we where we did get into a really good conversation is the whole education thing. Um, is around like these standardized tests and like where where it's failed us in a lot of ways because it's taught us to be like these capitalistic little just drones. And that has led us rather rapidly as technology is advanced because we have industrialized further. And we're now in the internet age and the technological age where there's a parabolic curve of growth. We're at the point where we're just about to go straight up.
Yeah,
Like on that curve, it sort of goes to a straight line almost. It
yeah,
never touches, but it goes as close as you can get. And we're about there, and we've taught ourselves, or we've trained ourselves, or the government has trained us over generations now that we need to be little worker bees, and that our financial wealth is actually tied to the government giving it to private companies, and they are the financial wealth of the country, and that determines how good we are, not the people who actually make products, because we should be a product based. We should reward work and not, or we should reward labor and not output.
yeah. That's You also
But
reminded
that's
me
a
of
tough
you
topic.
also Yeah, you also reminded me of something. Kind of tying back fitness to standardized testing. That's one of the other things that I'm annoyed about right now too. Is the
Hmm.
presidential fitness test being back, and I'm like,
Oh shit,
okay,
yeah.
but could Cheeto Commander pass that right now? Hell, I just
Nope.
want him to pass one part of it. Uh, as
I want
somebody
to
said,
see him try one push up.
yeah, I was gonna say, or one sit up, because as somebody said, I have a sneaking suspicion that once he's on the ground, he won't be able to get back up unassisted. And like,
Yeah.
if this were any other 60, 70-year-old man, there'd be some sympathy for that, but not for this one or half the people in it. Because I'm not even 100% convinced that RFK could pass it right now because he looks good. And he looks decent. He's in aesthetically good shape for his
Hmm.
age, but I'm not sure he could pass it right now either. And all of that is once again. So now we're going to put this. So we had this, standardized test putting this guilt trip on kids' brains for fucking ever. And you don't pass this standard, you're worthless. And now we're going to be putting those physical pressures on everybody. Like I'm all for making sure that like with Michelle Obama's attempts to try to get kids outside and moving and eating healthy. I'm all for some pushing some health initiatives, not laws, but initiatives across the
Yeah.
country to try and get people in shape and keep them in shape from a young age. Not against that. But with this, all it's doing is trying. They didn't bring it back and improve it. They just brought back the old test that most of their cabinets could not pass right now. And all it really is it's going to put this onus on people. Okay, if I can't do it, then I'm not of worth. And what it was really doing is trying to ensure that most kids are going to be eligible to join the military when they graduate because we keep on ramping up things that are inevitably going to lead to conflict and war. So just like just like spam was created back in World War II to be able to make sure that individuals wait enough to be able to enlist. We're now re-implementing the presidential fitness test so that we got a whole bunch of potential soldiers who may or may not pass intellectual tests and feel guilt ridden enough that they need to go provide value that they are now incentivized into joining the army to do so. So it's all fucking geared just to be able to make sure that you continue to fit the fucking machine, and in this case, both the labor machine and the military machine. And as somebody who can lift 600 pounds and go run and do push-ups and tell you all like three or four books he's reading simultaneously and was in the army. I'm not against the army or intellectualism or physical
Hmm.
fitness. But when combined in that way to steer towards being able to go into the military while giving you psychological issues so that you're essentially, you know, psychologically manipulated into thinking that it's your best choice, no, I'm not for it. No.
And while hypernationalizing education so that you feel a duty or an obligation to have to do it in order to fit the standard or fit in with it.
Yep.
And yeah, no, I'm glad you brought it back to the fitness part is because that's like you said, it's not a bad thing to want to have standardized fitness and or like encourage improvements in fitness and our overall like mindset towards body health and body management, not fat shaming. I'm rather out of shape and overweight myself, and I understand how hard it is to get out of
Yeah.
that. Like
Yeah.
we have to manage, we manage expectations, and but we don't come at come at it in the mindset that they are of you fit this mold or you're out. Like
Well,
there is no space in their mind for anything other than good and bad, right and wrong, yes and no. It's all
and the
black and white to them.
and the unashamed irony of all of it is that I think that there is a place for I think that any good society, community, country in the future, in order for it to be good, there will have to be a little bit of not nationalism, but a little bit of national standardization of chunks of our life. And that I think that we could all stand to benefit from a model where it was about, bringing pride to yourself and your country, but not in a one of these ultra nationalist kind of ways. But the irony is that the countries who are doing it best right now would classify as communist or socialist or some combination of communism and socialism with
Yeah.
democracy. Like any of these countries that are doing it well are the ones that have fused some of that into their government structure. We talk about all the Scandinavian countries. We talk about some of the European countries that where no, there's a okay, you're going to pay higher taxes in order to make sure the
Hmm.
quality of life in the country is good. And we encourage our kids to be in shape by getting them outside and having them pass fitness tests. And they have less issue with alcohol over there because they stopped making it so that it was taboo.
Hmm.
So people aren't encouraged to try to go stupid with it from a younger age. And I'm not saying it's all perfect, but what I'm saying is any infusion of that back in of
Is
either
a
of those
good thing.
models is a good thing. And that's the reason that it doesn't work over here is none of it is done with, in a lot of those countries, it's done with the spirit of, in order so that you can so that you can be a value or provide to your country, but not in a your sole value is what you can provide or your service. It's just everybody wants to be part of that. Obviously, you've got outliers. Again, not a perfect system, but like difference there in the language is here it is your only value is what you can provide, your service. Over there, it's what service or thing can you provide to your country. And as such, like any good company or corporation, there's incentives and benefits back to that.
Yeah.
Countries where you get entire like summer off or a month off, or like you actually have paternal leave when you have a kid. And so we're treated over here as though everything is to make you a value not to your country, but a value to the government, which is essentially a corporation, or to an actual corporation. So,
Hmm.
and when you do it right, there's no incentivization back. And I'm not saying everything has to be rewarded, but it's
But
what,
government's a service and it should
yeah,
be providing us something in return.
is I want to provide to this community and take pride in it because it's taking care of me and I know it will continue to take care of me versus being groomed to be of service to a corporation that feeds into the government, and you're essentially just one more meatball to be fed to the shredder after
Yeah.
that. So terrible
Yeah.
analogy, but or metaphor, but
No,
whatever. Meatball to the
no, but
shredder.
it's, hey, a meatball through a shredder, you're going to get a lot of tiny balls. Um,
Well, and thus is where the Republican National Convention got their testes. Anyway, so
wait, they got those? I thought we stopped that mail. I thought the
uh,
U.S. Postal Service forgot that one.
it was a standard issue as part of gender affirming care that they don't admit to. So
Oh, okay. Okay.
yeah.
Okay. That's good to know. Yeah. No, but I mean, you make a really, really good point through all of that. And I think it's important that we maintain the idea that one, we have a basic line of like standardized respect that we have for people that is your value is based on you as a person and who you just your that you're here. Like because you are here, you have value.
Right.
It final. After that is what do you add or take away from that value for a community in a whole? Like we're tribal creatures. We're meant to be in communities. We've grown traditionally through communal movement, through native or nomadic tribes and groups, or we settled as civilizations and made full-on countries with multiple communities coming together, e pluribus unum, and or out of many one. we are creating one community, and that means we have to have a standard model that we view everything from. Then we can have a back and forth within that model, but you can't go outside those bounds. Once you go outside those bounds on any end, you are no longer tolerated in
Right.
that view. And I think that's important is like when we talk about all this stuff, it's always from the view of you have value just by being yourself. The
Right.
things, and I think that's what the nomadic community or the Nordic communities and those in Europe, like Germany, if you ask Germans, do you mind paying high taxes? Most of them go, no,
Right.
because it comes back to me as services and goods that my country offers me.
That
And it helps everyone around me because they benefit from all of these wonderful programs
yeah, that
too.
yeah, I wouldn't regret paying those taxes if in the first place because I know it's
No.
immediately being
Yeah.
given back, and that higher taxation in the first place is your government, your country telling you from the moment you're fucking born that that money is going to be poured back into the greater good, so that then when you are born and you're a human being and you have value, you start going, okay, how can I use that value for myself and for my country, as opposed
Yeah.
to being taxed out the ass not knowing where it's going or knowing it's going someplace corrupt, and then getting the, adding salt to the wound, insult to injury of, okay, we overtaxed you and you didn't really get to see any benefits from it. Now, what value can you bring to a corporation that's going to underpay you while taking, exorbitant profits that again won't be poured back into the gross domestic product? So the government's told you from the beginning that they're going to take from you and they owe you no explanations as to where it's going. And then they tell you got to go work for somebody who doesn't value the gross domestic product of their country because their money doesn't get spent in this country. It either goes into offshore savings accounts or hoarded. So at no point in that pipeline do you have any assurance or promise, quite to the contrary, actually, that any part of this process values making this society, this community, this country better.
Yep. Yeah, and in fact, we have been convinced, and two, the government has made to be a system that undermines the value that it could return to us. And it's purposely, at this point, hurting the value that it previously did return by taking it away.
Yep.
Roads, police, the way they police is incredibly a disservice to the police and to the society itself because it's not to serve and protect anymore. It's to subjugate and oppress.
Although
And
I was reading an
yeah,
interesting I was reading an interesting article a couple of weeks ago that essentially talked about the last time that America was great was not because Trump finally let slip when he thought that was, and it was essentially industrial revolution. I'm like, oh, you mean when the richest families got all the riches, and we had child labor and people were losing limbs in the workplace and there was no compensation for it? Yeah, that was great.
yeah,
The
super great.
poor became poorer and the rich became the richest. But somebody was pointing to the last time America was great was fucking FDR.
Hmm.
Was talking to FDR. Yeah, so it was basically FDR. What was it? Teddy. Either way, was basically talking about how when the rich were being exorbitantly taxed, but they were still taking home a lot of fucking money, and they're like, oh, so but they people use the excuse, if you overtax them again, they'll leave. No, they won't,
No, they
because
won't.
they still make all of their money over here, and where else are they? I mean, where else are they going to go? That's not going to do more to them, except for some of
Yeah.
the more dictatorial countries, which will do more in a different way. And it basically pointed out that by exorbitantly taxing, and I'm talking north of 40% of all of the richest, we were giving back to the community. The corporations were actually doing better in different ways. The quality of life of the government was better. The quality of life of people it still wasn't perfect because this was during an era where we still had desegregated things and we weren't working
Hmm.
on, gender equality. But economically speaking and prosperity wise, everybody was doing better when we taxed more of the rich. And that's because there's nothing left to be taxed of us. Because if we tax anymore, people literally are not going to be able to live, and polyamory is going to have to be the answer for everybody in order to survive. But no, this idea that if you overtax, then it's going to be a detriment. When I'm sitting there going, no, we've already been overtaxed and not seen any of it. How about now we increase it? Because we're talking about, say, somebody makes $1 billion, if you go from being taxed whatever little they're being taxed now to being taxed over 40%, say we even get as high as 50. And I think it was actually more than this with Roosevelt. But even if it's 50, somebody's still taking home $500 million. Like
Hmm.
whether that's in a day, a week, a month, or a year, $500 million. So
You're never going to use that.
we're talking about 500 times $1 million, $500 million. And you're telling me that somebody can't live on that? If they can't live on that, how are you expecting us to live on 60 or less? So
Yeah. Yeah. Like, what are you actually telling us? Is like, you know that it's fake lifestyle and you know that we prop it up. So if we tax you, it comes back to the people who are getting, because I'd rather, lower our taxes a little and raise the shit out of theirs, because that would have a much better effect, a progressive
they've
taxing system.
they've proven that like even just a 5% increase on the
Uh-huh.
wealthiest people in this country would solve most economic problems. We're not talking about hiking it up back to Roosevelt's days. I mean, but
We
I'm not
could,
against. But
we
I'm not
should.
against it. I ain't against it. But just just talking about a 5% increase would solve most of these things because it's hoarding wealth in the first place. It's not going back into the GDP, so it's not like it's unfair. It's sitting here going, look, you can have a cool billion in savings because you're already making a billion for some people, you know, fucking yearly or less, but you can have a billion in savings, hold on to 500 million a year. Oh, poor sweetheart. That's way
Yeah.
too little.
Oh, sad.
And hike the tax up 5% and work on things like homelessness, education, spending of roads and infrastructure. But no, we can't tax the rich anymore because I want to be like one of them one day, and we all know that's fucking impossible. So
Yeah. And
sipping for
on
fucking billionaires.
Yep, simping for billionaires. Oh, and on that note, I think I'm gonna let us go for the day because we're just over an hour.
Okay.
Is Fred Pogue owns a web page or the domain name Screw Billionaires.
Yes.
Um, and we are doing a really cool launch. I've already talked to you about it, obviously, is the Banner and Backbone network is coming out this weekend, doing a 24-hour live stream Saturday into Sunday for a Release the Epstein-a-thon, and other good stuff. We're going to be bringing on folks like Ellie Leonard's coming on, Shane Urick's going to come for a while. Jake, if you've got time, we'll bring you on. We're going to be doing it in pairs of threes. We've got other guests who are going to be showing up throughout. Um, and one of the things we're going to be doing as part of our network, is we've talked about, is, well, we just happen to own the domain name Screw Billionaires, which means we're going to do a channel dedicated to just segments about the shittiest things billionaires have been doing and telling them to go fuck themselves because they fucking suck.
The only good thing about billionaires is so far every summer we seem to see one sacrificed. So
Yeah, I really wish we could up those numbers. Those are pretty rookie. Like,
yeah,
those are like last year we had more because they all went into a submarine together and let
yeah.
themselves just go soda pop, which I
Titanic,
mean,
Titanic, Whales, Luigi, and while he wasn't offed recently, the tech CEO with the Coldplay thing. So like it seems like we can up those numbers. We can up those numbers.
yeah,
So
we got to bump those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers. All right. Well, Jacob, I'll see you again soon, brother. Hopefully I'll see you on Saturday or tomorrow. If you got time in the afternoon, come hang out
okay.
and we'll let me know before the afternoon and we'll get it figured out. And if we do, well, right now we have the Wizards Council planned for three of us, with me, Fred Pogue, and Lawrence Winterman. Jacob may come on. If we do that, it'll be slightly different because we won't have all of our names on the screen, but everybody will get a notification and we'll make sure people are there. So, brother, good to talk to you. I'll talk to you again. Uh, Closing out the show. Give everybody a goodbye today.
Goodbye, everybody. It was great talking with Nick and getting to talk with some of y'all. And yeah, I look forward to trying to be on more of these as my schedule permits and cranking out some more content on mine. But that's in the works right now. And Nick is unfortunately roped into it. So hope you all have a great day. Be good or be good at it. So.
Hell yeah. Take that advice from Gym Daddy Jacob.
Oh my God.
That's
Bye.
on that's on forever now, brother.
Oh my
Okay.
God.
All
I'll see
right.
you later, brother.
See you later. See you, everyone. Thank you all.